This is the easiest villager crop farm for Minecraft Bedrock, and it's going to allow you to AFK and get either carrots, potatoes, beetroot, or bread, so settle in and let's build. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is find an area at least 150 blocks away from all other villages, villager breeders, iron farms, all of that fun stuff, and make sure you're at least 48 blocks away from all other workstations and beds. Once you've made sure of that, we're going to go ahead and start off by building an 11 by 11 square out of any building block you would like. After building your 11 by 11 square, the interior of that square should be a 9 by 9 area. Once you've made sure of that, now we're going to pick the front of the farm. I'm going to choose this to be the front, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this center block and then create a U shape like so. Next, we're going to remove these two blocks right here, and we are going to clear out these two blocks as well. Next, you want to remove these two blocks so you can see that little opening we made. And then we're going to bring this down one more layer like so. Go ahead and place down a double chest in this hole now. Grab your hopper and run the hoppers into that chest and just have it snake like this. Go ahead and throw a test item in there. I always have tile drops disabled. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and throw an item in here into that hopper, and if we go ahead and take a look, you're going to see that the hopper ended up in there. I mean, it's a test item, you can throw whatever you want, make sure that it is connected. Once you've made sure of that, just go ahead and fill in this hopper space, just like this. Leave this hopper open, and we're also just going to place down some trapdoors here. Not necessary, but I don't know, I prefer not just having a hole in the ground. Once you're done with that, we're going to go ahead and place down a slab on top of this hopper now, just like so. And then we're going to place down a temporary block above this hopper, place down a rail, and then a minecart hopper. Go ahead and remove this block so that the minecart hopper falls. And then we're going to remove these three blocks here and place down regular blocks like so. The next thing we're going to do is raise the entire area of this wall up to be 2 blocks tall. So we're going to do this for the entire farm here. And this is going to keep things out, and it's also going to keep our villagers in. So it's very important that this is 2 blocks tall. Once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and center these up. So we're going to come to 2 blocks from the diagonal. So right here, and right here, and right here, and right here, just so that everything is nice and symmetrical. Go ahead and waterlog each of these holes, or just place water sources, I guess. And then let's go ahead and steal that slab. We're going to go ahead and place slabs upside down here so that you can walk over top of the water source. Well, the villager can walk over top of the water sources without falling in and damaging crops. Because if there's just a regular water source here like this, the villager is going to jump and then destroy the nearby crops. So place down a block so that way it is waterlogged. We're then going to place down a composter in the center of the structure here, and just again place down a slab, that way the villager can't jump up onto the composter and destroy any of the nearby crops. Next, we're going to go ahead and till all of this soil. If this bothers you, seeing, the underside, you could easily replace that. But truthfully, you're rarely ever going to see the inside of this structure, so that's not necessarily important. And then once you have all of this tilled, I would recommend placing down whatever thing you want to grow. So you can grow beetroots, carrots, or potatoes, or wheat. However, if you do plant wheat, you will not get wheat back, you will get bread back, because the villager will turn it into bread when sharing it with the other villagers. So just keep that in mind. If you planned on making wheat, you're actually going to be getting bread. Once you have all of these carrots placed, again, you could get your villager to do it, but it's just a lot easier if you do it first, because the villager is a little bit slow, especially planting a new field. But in terms of maintenance, he is a very efficient worker. The last thing we need to do before we get our villagers in here is let's just go ahead and place down torches. And again, let's just make it nice and symmetrical, counting 2 blocks over, 2 blocks over, boom, and boom, and boom. Now it is nice, and let's put one right here. Now it is nice and lit up, so we don't have to worry about zombies spawning in here. Everything looks nice and symmetrical, so let's go ahead and get our first villager inside the farm. And there are actually 2 minor changes we need to do real quick. First, let's go ahead and place down a trapdoor on this block right here, so not on the underside, or not on the top of this block, but on the underside of this second block. That is very important. If it is right here, then the hopper minecart might not actually pick up the carrots or whatever you're growing. Or actually, I'm pretty sure the villager just won't see the villager that's behind here. So very important, make sure that this trapdoor is on the second block right here. And the other change we need to make, let's just set down a block right here and place down a bed, and then 3 blocks going across like this. So this is going to be where we put the collection villager. He's going to be the second villager we bring in, but right now we need our farmer. So let's go ahead and just make a temporary hole in the side of the wall here, so that way we can bring our first villager over. And say thank you to Mojang for allowing us to put leads on boats. We can now just bring this guy over from a nearby village, and let's do this one at a time. It's very important that you only bring one villager over. Well, I guess he doesn't slide very well, or he's getting stuck. That's fine, he's inside the structure, so we can actually just go ahead and place these blocks back before we release him. And now he is, well, he's permanently going to live here. This is the rest of your existence, so enjoy. The next thing, and this is very, very important, is we're going to go ahead and just quickly trade with this villager at least one time, so that way he is locked to this workstation. Because if you don't trade with him, he could de-link, allowing this villager to obtain the composter, which would then leave this guy unemployed, and he would no longer do the farming. So it's very important that you trade with this villager. And now let's get the second villager inside of this chamber right here. All right, I've quickly just gone ahead and made a makeshift staircase. Truthfully, this probably isn't the best staircase, but again, thank you Mojang for allowing us to put leads on boats. Maybe make a little bit of a walkway, because of course I am flying here, but let's just go ahead and close him in so that way he can't escape. But now that he's up here, I mean, you also could just use minecarts, but I'm trying to not use minecarts because then you have to make extra minecarts. But once he's up here, all you gotta do, remove the bed. Oh, perfect. He fell right exactly where we needed him. So hopefully it went as smoothly as it did for me just now. If it didn't, I'm sure that you could figure it out and like push him in. It shouldn't be too difficult. It's just annoying. But we can go ahead and get rid of our temporary staircase now. And we now have a fully functioning villager crop farm. The only thing now is to get these carrots grown, and then he'll start farming them, planting them, giving them to the villager. So let me actually just go bone meal some of these. All right, I've gone ahead and bone mealed a small patch here, and as you can see, he is a good little worker. He's harvesting the carrots, and he is replanting them. And he should go and trade with the villager now, which is just throwing the carrots at the villager. He might not do it immediately because he does like to have a little bit of storage, but eventually he is going to come over here and deposit the carrots into this chest. So I am actually going to, okay, I don't usually do this, but for the sake of experiment and because I want this to work faster than just waiting here for hours for carrots to grow for the first time, I'm going to set the tick speed slightly higher, and then I'm going to AFK for like 10 to 15 minutes. All right, I've set the tick speed to 10, which I'm not sure if that means 10 times faster. I'm pretty sure it would mean that it goes 10 times faster. So these carrots are growing a little bit faster than they normally would, because again, having the random tick speed is different than me bone mealing all of the carrots, because then they're all going to be at different stages and it's much more natural. So I'm just going to let the carrots get to, their natural state. All right, it has been about 10 minutes now, and of course I am still using the higher tick speed. So let's go ahead and take a look at how many carrots we've got. So I did see him come over quite a few times. However, I don't know if it showed up in the time-lapse or if I recorded the time-lapse late, but he had to collect a decent amount of carrots before he started giving them to the villager. So it could take a couple minutes, like maybe even an hour with normal growing rates for his inventory to fill up enough to share with the other villager. But let's just say divided by 10, which would be 6 carrots in 10 minutes. And then multiply that by 6 to get 36. But that seems a little low, so maybe like a stack an hour? Maybe more? I'm not really sure. This farm is of course very dependent on whatever thing you are growing. I don't know the grow time for carrots, but I know it's different from beetroots and potatoes and wheat, and they all have different grow times, so it really will depend on that. But this farm definitely takes a minute to start up, but once it gets going, and you'll have AFK food forever. So that is absolutely incredible. If you enjoyed this video, then please do consider subscribing and leaving a like. My name is 1UpMC, and I will catch you in the next one.